Hello, this is John S. Rhodes of the Rhodes Brothers. This is Greater Wealth Through Mastery. The topic of today's short talk is the 3-step process for literally starting from scratch. Now, if you happen to have already started your online journey, you can still use this information. Also, if you have been making money for years online, not only congratulations, but I still think that you have something to learn from this very simple 3-step process. Now, the number one step is somewhat controversial. It might go against the grain. It might not make sense at first, but I'm going to explain, and you will be able to exploit this for great profit. The very first thing, step number one, is work super hard to fail. Yes, fail. In other words, you're going to put in time, you're going to put in effort, perhaps even a pinch of money, and you will work very hard to fail. Now, the reason for this is that number one, you are taking action. You are working. You are focusing. That alone is one of the keys of success. In other words, allocating your time and your energy, your life juice, the very essence of what you are, is now concentrated instead of being diverse, spread far, being something like vapor, something like sand running through your hands, unable to grasp onto something, unable to latch onto something. But by focusing and actually doing something, you are very likely to fail the very first time that you do it. And in fact, most people try to do something and then fail. But the next 2 steps will help you understand exactly why it's so critical to take action, to focus, to finally get something done, but also make something from it. When you fail, you understand the problem. You understand the obstacle. By creating something, even if it's failure, you have something to latch onto, something that you can explain to other people. Been there, done that. Now, I don't know about you, but when I get started with something, it is almost never seamless, never simple. It is almost always challenging and difficult and frustrating. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. The very first time doing anything, whether it's riding a bike, writing an essay, learning some new technical skill, even getting a new phone and trying to learn how to use it, you will almost certainly fail. Now, there will be things that you enjoy, things that you already know how to do, maybe some very positive pieces and parts, but there will be failure. And when you can explain to other people, when you can resonate with other people, be on their wavelength and say, this is where I'm at, the beginning, and this is how I failed, you then establish an immediate rapport, a resonance with other people. So step number one is so critical. You're putting in time and effort and focus for the very purpose of establishing the domain, a foothold, a toe in the door, and you're going to experience failure. Now, don't avoid the mistakes. What I mean by that is you're going to make mistakes. It's virtually impossible not to make mistakes. Don't avoid them. Embrace the problems. Embrace the very things that are preventing you from going forward. Understand them, explain them, ask questions, write things down that are stopping you from achieving whatever it is you're trying to do. It could be writing a blog post, an essay, installing some new technology, turning something on. It could be something as simple as writing a new headline. It could be understanding the structure of a sales letter. It could be learning what JV means, joint venture. And what does joint venture partner mean? What is an affiliate? What's an affiliate network? You can go on and on and on with this, as can I with any new domain. There's something beautiful about this. The faster that you embrace failure, the faster you embrace the problems and the challenges that every single person is going to face that comes after you. That's the vision. You're in the here and you're in the now. You cannot change the past and you cannot know the future. But by looking backwards at what you have attempted to do, although you can't change the past, you can know the past and you can document the past. And you know where to go from the past because you're in the present, you're here right now, you're in the moment of trying to figure something out, of doing the work, trying to focus, doing everything you possibly can to succeed. But you shouldn't be trying to succeed as much as understand the challenges and the problems. Embrace the failure, embrace the questions and the challenges and the problems, because every single person after you will experience some, if not all, of the challenges that you face. Do you see what we've done here? We've identified the challenge and really the entire problem space. Now you're going to evolve, and even though you do not know the future, what you do know is you will move into the future, and when you look back to the past, which is now and perhaps further back, you'll say, look at all of these problems that I overcame. Now, if you're only looking at success, then that ends up being challenging for other people. You will not resonate with them because you will seem like you have these ungodly powers, this supernatural ability to do everything perfectly. Now, there is a time and a place for providing people with a streamlined way of doing things, okay? But most people need to know that you understand what the problems are in very specific detail. And of course, you can help them overcome those challenges, and you can help them know that, hey, maybe you haven't seen or felt or experienced this challenge yet, but this is something that is sort of on your pathway to success. That's why understanding and embracing the challenges and those failures is so critical, because when you fail, you'll know what the failure was caused by, and of course, you will overcome the failure. People love these kinds of case studies. You love to know and love to watch the train wreck. Everyone loves to rubberneck or look at the accident happening over on the other side of the road. Well, that's the same thing for any business challenge as well. Like, whoa, tell me what went wrong. How did you flame out? Because people, it's entertaining, it's interesting, it captures our attention. It's a great story you can tell your future customers. It's a great way to build up resilience as well, strength and energy, how you can overcome. It's how leaders can lead because they've been on the battlefield. They have taken the hits. They've been hit. They've been knocked down, but they get back up. And that is exactly what you are able to do. Now, your goal ultimately in this step is to gather together as many of these failures as you possibly can. So really be an investigator. Do the work, put in the time, put in that energy, and embrace and enjoy the failure, knowing that you are going through the dip, through the suck. You know it's going to happen. You experience it, and this is perfectly fine because this is the first of 3 steps, and it's so critical. Nothing works perfectly for anyone the first time through. Just acknowledge it, embrace it, accept it. This will give you calm in the mind. This will give you peace. This will give you clarity, knowing that failure is all around all the time, but you are documenting it. You are creating a library of failure because you're going to use that failure, that library, the entire case history of what segment of time and what domain space you're going through. You're going to be able to say, I've got this thing. I've explored this thing and I failed over and over. And it's so painful and so bad. Look at all these things that don't work. Don't do these things. Don't make the mistakes that I made. And you can also provide a streamlined, fast, step-by-step solution as well. Another thing is by documenting and embracing these failures all at once, you can create a list of objections. Now, every marketer, every really good salesperson knows that objections are things to be coveted and admired and loved. Now, that sounds something out of left field and crazy and not true. But the very best salespeople know that they have to overcome objections to get the sale. When you want to buy something, you always have these objections. If you're going to buy a brand new car, one of the objections might be, well, the gas mileage is terrible. Oh, it costs too much. Oh, I don't know how to drive this kind of car with this kind of technology. I don't know how to use this piece of technology inside the car. I don't know how to make this work. I don't know about the warranty or the guarantee. I don't know about the repairs, the cost of maintenance, and so on and so on. You see, by knowing the objections and the challenges and problems in your domain, in your space, in your market, you are able to overcome objections because you've already seen it, done it, documented it, and you're able to overcome without any problem at all. Okay, and really I've already described step number 2. And what that is you're going to document everything. I'm going to give you a hint. Believe it or not, every single thing that you do, whether it is driving a car or it is answering emails or posting on social media or creating new videos, every single thing already has a process. And very specifically and very importantly, everything that you do, not just out in the world or in the wild or other people, for you, literally everything that you are doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, everything has a process. Now, the process might be broken. The process might be bad. The process might make you ashamed of what you're doing and how many steps it takes. But if you document all those steps, if you document everything, now, once the documentation has been created, once every single step has been written down, it's all written down. Now you have a documented process with all the failure included. Because of this, you were able to explain the dirty, messy process. You can provide a case study of what not to do. You can say, this originally took me 38 steps, but you can do it in just 7 steps if you avoid all these other steps, avoid all these other problems which you would otherwise have. So you can provide people with all the mistakes, all the problems, all the challenges. You can explain them in a very clear and comprehensive way. And then you can create a product out of the streamlined 7-step process. Do you see? Because you've established like a 38-step process, but you've streamlined it down to the 7 most essential that actually matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, not 38, not 500 steps, not 5,000 steps. You see? Because you've documented every single step and you know exactly what works and you certainly know what doesn't work because you've embraced the failure. You've focused, you've spent the time. Therefore, you know what is worthy of time, what's worthy of the effort, what is actually worthy of maybe failing. Sometimes it's useful to cook in or bake in 1 or 2 speed bumps into a process. Like you might have a streamlined process that takes 5 steps, but you can put in some speed bumps that add tremendous quality or add other value. So you might have 5 core steps, but 7 steps that add way more value. So you might have a ultra quick fast 3 steps or 5 steps, but 7 steps to be more comprehensive and provide maximum value. You see what we've done? But it's not 38 steps. Okay, so again, step number 1, work very hard to embrace failure, to actually even create failure, to ask questions about the failure. So you're embracing the energy and the time that it takes to do something, and you know there's going to be failure. You embrace the failure. Step number 2 is you document every single step, and importantly, you don't just document what works, you document what doesn't work because that comes down to objections, failure points, landmines, problems, helps you with a case study, helps you with FAQs, frequently asked questions about the process, and much more. If you're interested in what you ought to be documenting and how, what the system would be, the processes for doing this in exactly the right way, I encourage you to use artificial intelligence for that. You can find a link below in the description about using artificial intelligence in general. And if you just have questions about how to do any of this, please ask in the comments below. We can create a video for you to go through that exactly. Now, on to step number 3, which I've already touched on in part, but we need to close this out in 3 simple steps. The third step is sharing your pain and your path. And what this comes down to is not just a case study, but you can tell stories about your situation when you got started. You can sort of explain where you came from, your experience, your education. It could be work history. It could be relationships you have with other people. It could be what your goals and aspirations are. You can appeal to data and statistics. Very importantly, you'll want to emotionally inject the right elements into the story. And if you have embraced failure and you have, calm as glass, crystal clear authority, and you have everything so rock solid in your mind, and you're just smooth as glass, people will resonate with that. The right people will be attracted to you. They will love you. They will become loyal because not only have you said, look, I have failed. I have not always been perfect. I have had to work very hard to go from nothing to 38 steps. I have all these failures, but I have condensed it down into these 5 steps with 2 bonus steps. And this will give you this ultimate way of achieving what you want in whatever domain. And by the way, I'm just making up the 5 and the 7 and the bonus steps and the 38, obviously, just to make the point. But you need to understand that you're going to have basically a graveyard of failure. You're going to have so many failures, but you need to love it. You need to love the process. Obviously, failure is not like, hey, this is so much fun, but you can turn it into a game. You can turn it into an opportunity to actually enjoy and embrace the journey, because it really is more about the journey than it is the destination. Everyone wants the destination. Everyone wants the 7 steps or the 5 steps. They don't want the 38. And you're not delivering the 38 steps. You're not actually saying, hey, here are the 38 steps that are required to achieve going from A to B. You don't do that. You can talk about all the problems along the way. You can use it for social media. You can use it for blog posts. You can use it for things not to do. You could provide people with a cheat sheet, the 10 things to avoid, the 15 things to avoid if you're trying to get from point A to point B, and so on and so forth. There's so much value in failure, it's just not even funny. I know you've felt this before. I know you've experienced it before, but now you have clarity on the importance of failure and how to turn the failure into wild success and very, very high value, all while being focused and concentrated on what actually matters, which is taking the initial steps. Remember, this is how you start from scratch with nothing. You don't try to be perfect out of the gate. So many people are like, I can't start until I have researched everything. That is a recipe for failure. It is paralysis by analysis. It is so easy to think that by doing research or reading or spending time in some domain and kind of noodling it over, letting it happen in your mind over and over and over, and wishing and hoping instead of just doing. You do, and you act, and you apply the energy with the knowledge, with the hope of many failures, so you can get them out of the way. So you've already played the game, and you know you're going to lose the first time. That's the deal. And then the second time, and the 5th time, and the 18th time, you might fail over and over and over. But eventually you will have certain breakthroughs that make life better for you. Now, here's another thing that's so important. For those people who are very analytical, and I know you're out there, perhaps you, if you're very, very analytical, then what better way than to immediately take action so you get data and feedback, and then you document it, and now you can analyze your own actions and the domain. You can create a map of things, so to speak. You can create matrices. You can create spreadsheets if that's your thing. You can get all jazzed up about it. This is fantastic. This is great news for you. Now, if you happen to be more, in tune with your feelings and your mind, what better way to express your feelings? What better way to take the energy flowing through your body and in your mind and then expressing it through action and then getting feedback and getting harmonization with the world, with the domain, with the market, even with the technology. So either way, whether you are radically empirical and data driven and you're an engineer type or programmer, very logical, fine. I have done that. But there are people at the other end of the spectrum, perhaps you, who are laughy, jokey, extroverts. They're all over the place. ADD, ADHD, just cannot focus. What better way to focus the mind and make it, rather than nonlinear and very jumpy and fireworks, what better way to bring clarity to chaos? What better way to streamline, to turn things from, many different vectors in many different directions in multiple dimensions? What better way to bring things down to a singular point of clarity, of focus, if you're all over the place? You see, this isn't about personality types. This isn't about emotions or data. It's about providing value to the world. By the way, you are part of the world. So by taking action, you're setting up a recursive feedback loop. You do something, and then the feedback comes back to you. The feedback comes back to your mind, into the spreadsheets, onto pieces of paper, or maybe you're typing away. This is the key. This is what's so critical. That's what makes this so simple. So again, step number 3 is you're going to share your pain. You're going to share your path, your journey. You can write a book about this. You can write blog posts about this. You can share it on social media. You can create videos about different pieces and parts of your journey. Your product should be obvious. I've already told you. Did you catch it? The product is the streamlined version of all the different perfectly scripted in a row steps to go from point A to point B. That's the product that you can sell. And you can zero in and create, let's say, version 2.0. And that version 2.0 is the streamlined step-by-step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 2 bonus steps. That can be your product. And what you can give away for free can be all the things to avoid, all the failures, all the mistakes, all the landmines to avoid. You can even sprinkle in some of the critical steps. But the actual steps that always work after you've perfected it, going through your own documented process multiple times, you're like, hey, I've nailed it. And now you know what happens? Now you are the expert. This is how you generate expertise out of thin air, out of absolutely nothing. This is the genesis point. This is where you become the expert. Now, what's so awesome about this is that expertise, or being the expert, the guru even, is literally, in most cases, being just one step ahead of every other person who is trying to achieve what you're ultimately trying to achieve. You and someone else might be very close, but you're one step ahead. Now, you might need to go 1,000 steps forward into the future toward the ultimate goal, whatever that is in your market or your niche. Okay? 1,000 steps are required, 1,000 different activities. But if you're just one major step ahead of someone else, you are the expert, you are the guru. So many people screw this up. They think that they need to have full domain expertise. Could not be further from the truth. Instead, what you need to have is expertise in just one step ahead, where you have a streamlined process that will save people countless hours of time. Now, you can give them the 38 steps if you wish. You can do that and tell your story, but it's going to kind of be a mess. And you might say, hey, I would be more than willing to help you identify the exact most critical steps to achieve going from point A to point B. And in that case, you can be a consultant or you can be a coach. Now, in the other case, you might package up the 5 ultimate steps with the 2 bonus steps, and that might be a digital product or an info product. Do you see what I've done here? We've gone from absolutely nothing, and we've said, well, I know I'm going to fail. Like, you just need to flip it around from I need success. I must succeed, and get that out of your head. Get that out of the hamster wheel. Don't let that spin anymore in your mind. Don't let the negative energy be what drains you. Instead, say, there is failure, but it's not negative. Failure is not bad. Failure is good. Failing fast is just fabulous. FFF. Fabulous, fast, failing, right? Triple F. This is fantastic. It's very great. Okay? And that's it. Those are your 3 steps. Work very hard immediately to fail as fast as possible. That's step number 1. Step number 2, document absolutely everything along the way. It might be something you can do in a few hours. It might be something you can do in an afternoon, right? It might be something that takes you a few days, might take a few weeks, maybe a month. Who cares? Who cares? Because you will be so much further ahead than where you are right now. Okay? So again, step number 2, document every single failure along the way. Obviously, the success is going to be obvious to you, but document the success as well. Document everything, basically, but you're going to have way more failure at the beginning than success. So the documentation of everything is critical, but look, you're going to have a lot of failure. Just embrace it and document it. And then step number 3, you're going to share the failure and the stories and the pain with other people. They will resonate with you like, oh, I feel that pain. I've been there. I've done that. Gosh, if only I had some help. Wink, wink, right? Because now you know that. Now you know what it is. You know what these people are feeling. You'll be able to speak their language. You'll be able to type it up and write it up. You'll be able to come up with better headlines. You'll be able to write better emails. You'll be able to create better products because you actually know and you've documented the various pain and suffering that you've gone through, who knows, hours or days or weeks to overcome the challenge. And you can say, look, I've got 7 steps in total, 5 plus 2 bonuses, of course, right? You can now say, look, this took me, 73 hours to figure out and document just for you. And I've been able to, knock it down to just 90 minutes. And these are the 5 essential critical steps. And then for another half an hour and these 2 bonus steps, you will literally have everything that you need to go from point A to point B, whatever it happens to be, right? Whatever your topic is or domain. That's the secret. That's how you start from scratch. It is not the only way to start from scratch, but if I was starting from scratch right now with no money or very little money, and also maybe not even a lot of time, but I wanted to get started with a business, especially an online business, and I was trying to figure out, gosh, how do I philosophically go after this? How do I psychologically go after this? All right, so those things are so important. The philosophy and the psychology, like how do I think about this? How do I think about starting from scratch? I've been working on this for years, but you're still feeling like you're starting from scratch, right? Well, this gives you a framework. This gives you a very, very solid system when you put it together for going after exactly what you want. And now you can apply this because it's sort of universal to any topic, any domain, and you can do it over and over and over again. It's repeatable. And this is a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. This is exactly what the Rhodes brothers offer to you and everything that we do, even in this training. 3 simple steps, and you can get started today. What do you think? Does this fit with your experience? Does this resonate? Are you finally feeling better and relieved? What is the number one thing that you got out of this teaching, this training, this video right now? Let us know in the comments below. And please send this episode to someone who might be struggling, might be suffering, maybe just needs some inspiration, because it's word of mouth referrals just like yours that help this channel grow and make this kind of high quality content available to people just like you, people that you care about that are in your network. And we want more people like you to be with us as well as a community, and we grow. As always, the Rhodes Brothers do appreciate you and thank you for your time, and we'll definitely see you in the next training. Look in the description below for further help, guidance, and assistance. This is John S. Rhodes signing off. See you in the next training. Take care.